What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Nerd Locker for this week's comic book reviews. I'm starting off with Batman number 25. It's the first issue of the second part of Zero Year. We know last issue ended with Riddler, or Edward Nygma, revealing himself as the Riddler to Gotham and just taking out the power. Well, Bruce has been working on getting everything back up, as well as experimenting with some new Batman gadgets, which is honestly what I love about this story, is that we're getting to see a younger Bruce Wayne and just a different type of thinking into, when we read Batman now, we'll see him say, oh, well, this gadget needs this, or I could use this for that. This is cool because you're starting at, zero. You're starting at the ground and working your way up. So he just has all these ideas, and it's awesome. You get to see the first Batmobile, which is just a really awesome concept of what it can do, what it does, and it's just, this whole book is great. I love it. And there's an awesome backup story with Harper Row. I mean, who doesn't love her? Because I love her. It's a great character. I love it. And Greg Capullo's artwork is just outstanding. I can't say enough good things about this book. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
Hey fellow nerds, Jasper here, and I just got done reading Cataclysm Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1. The writing in this, even though I love Brian Michael Bendis, it kind of fell a little flat. It pretty much goes along the lines of seeing different perspectives of the Avengers and Cloak and Dagger and Spider-Man as he has come back from his hiatus, and pretty much them kind of going about their typical routines, and particularly Spider-Man coming back from him not being around, period, and they even show him going through schoolwork and all this other stuff. Overall, it was pretty boring, but I think the thing that really bothered me the most is the fact that the cover itself shows Cloak and Dagger, but they only had a brief interaction at the very end of the comic. The big payoff is obviously the last splash page as they encounter Galactus. And for everyone who knows, he is now in the Ultimate Universe. So part 2 hopefully will be a better, explanation on, them now off to battle. But overall, this issue kind of fell a little flat. So with that, I'm only giving it a 2 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, I got to read Forever Evil Arkham War number 2. It's got Kirk Langstrom and his army of Man-Bats versus Bane, and basically the army he's assembled to come take over Gotham. He's in Blackgate, and we now know that he is there because that's where the Talons are from Court of Owls, and they're kept in this frozen stasis, using Mr. Freeze's technology because they can't die. But that's why he wants them. The cool thing about this is you got all the Batman villains, and some of them are playing certain sides, some of them are, it's kind of, you're dealing with villains, so things are all over the place. I just can't wait to see the fallout of this book and see what the ramifications are for the future of the DC Universe. I think this is great. I think it's a great book. It's awesome villains, awesome action. I can't wait to see where else this goes. I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
So I got to read Unity number 1. I'll be honest with you. I love Valiant. I love Quantum and Woody. I love Archer and Armstrong. I have not kept up with the others, so I'm not really familiar with where they are. So enter Unity number 1. I know of Man of War. I know his mythos. But I don't know how he got to this point. So with Russia on the verge of dropping a nuclear bomb because of Man of War, I have no clue. But it's fascinating to see how he set up this tense relationship with the world. And I get it. He was taken away by the Vine. Now he's come back, and he wants to set up a colony of his people. Well, obviously his country's long gone. Doesn't exist. So he's got to set up wherever he can, and he's the most powerful thing on the planet. He goes wherever he wants. Russia's not happy. Enter Harada, and he's built this team to basically take care of just this situation. He sends in Ninjak, which, what a great character. I love this character. He has faced Man of War before, Eric. He doesn't want anything to do with him, but it's a challenge, and he's getting paid a lot of money. And technically, he's not taking him on in this issue, so he takes the challenge. He sets up, ready for the Unity team, which we're all building towards in the name of the book, come in. Wow, what a great intro. What a great, if you've read it, holy cow, let me know in the notes below. I've never seen anything like this. It was unbelievable. I highly recommend you check this book out. I also like, as a side note, how they brought Jalad back in, who I'm familiar with, Archer and Armstrong. Really like that character. I like how they brought him in. And he obviously had a battle with Eric as well. And he's just coming back from it. He's kind of broken and beat up. And we've seen him take quite a beating in Archer and Armstrong. So I hope they kind of reveal that. It looked like in the back pages with Robert Venditti, they gave a little tease of that for the next Man of War book. So Matt Kint did a great job in this book. I was thrilled. I'm going to go ahead and give this book 4.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, I got to read Justice League of America, number 9. This is the second part of, I guess, the Forever Evil tie-in stuff. If you're not reading Forever Evil, I really suggest you do, because this stuff will make a lot more sense, but the ending to this issue is still a little confusing. We now know where the Justice League of America, Justice League Dark, and Justice League members are, or what has happened. We know that from reading Forever Evil. So this makes a little more sense in why the prison that you're seeing is set up the way that it's set up. But the ending just kind of confuses me because I still can't tell if we're out or in, or... It's just, this is a very complex issue. It's a great story if you've been reading it, and I highly suggest picking it up if you have been. But yeah, I just want to see where this goes. The first issue started out really strong. This one continues, but like I said, the ending just kind of confuses me a little bit. So I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Let me know what you guys thought.
All right, guys, so I get to read Manifest Destiny number 1. And being that I like to be really surprised with most of the things I read and see and do, I don't like too many spoilers. I don't like finding out too much. And I also didn't really even know about this book, but it's from Image. It's through their Skybound imprint, so Robert Kirkman had something to do with it. And it kind of seems like it. If it feels like it, it looks like it. It looks like kind of like Walking Dead-ish. The artwork, it's very in line with all his other work, like Invincible. They all kind of look very, like, not very similar to the point where it's all like the same thing, but along those same lines, like in that style, which was cool. I totally enjoyed it. I totally think that it actually fit for this book, the kind of realism, but still kind of cartoony. It was really interesting. But it's about Lewis and Clark and essentially what they were actually supposed to be doing on their expedition, which was really awesome. I'm not going to give it away because it's a crazy reveal and it's really cool, and it's a last page. It's like, what? But it makes sense for whatever it is. I don't know. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's still just questions that need to be answered, which is always good to have in an awesome book like this. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls and wait patiently for the next one.
All right, I got to read XMen Gold. I believe this is a one-shot because it's the 50th anniversary of the X-Men. And if you are an X-Men fan, this book is definitely for you. It's a bunch of short stories from different writers throughout X-Men history and different times throughout X-Men history. Len Wein writes one, Chris Claremont, Stan Lee, and you just get to see different, time periods of the X-Men. It's really cool. It's like a cool trip down memory lane, and you kind of get to see, just to see some cool. Len Wein story with Wolverine is actually awesome. It's really, really great, and it's cool to see where the character has progressed from, what he started out as. Because that's what the story is you see him early on with the X-Men as what he is now. This also in the back has the first couple pages of the newest issue of Wolverine in the X-Men, or Amazing X-Men, sorry, and All New X-Men. So if you are an X fan, this is definitely the book to pick up. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, so I got to read Marvel Knights X-Men number 1. Now, I love Marvel Knights books usually because they are separate from the universe. They have nothing to do with anything. They can kind of be their own thing, and they can mess with the lore a little bit more. This one felt like it was staying in it though. It didn't seem like it was too far, like pushing those boundaries of being like too adult or anything, like an R-rated book or anything. It almost felt like a normal book with a different kind of sense to it. Maybe they're just putting it in the time place right now. I'm going to see where it goes. And there was a couple cool pages. It was actually a really interesting read and really cool, kind of creepy, kind of like, oh man, is this going to be scary? Almost felt like it was a month late, but still, whatever. A horror story is a horror story, and if it's good, it's good, no matter what time of year. It doesn't have to be October. But it's still really, really fun read, and I love the artwork in it. And the fact that it's an artist that wrote it and the artwork looks really good. I mean, he didn't color it, which is fine, but he inked and drew it, which is amazing. I actually was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day that most of the time when an artist writes a book, just because they talk to the writer doesn't mean they can write it, you know? It shouldn't happen. But this is one of those exceptions where it actually works out pretty well. So I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, and again, await the next one. All right, guys, so I get to read Thor, God of Thunder, number 11 this week as well. And after the last issue, after the whole God Bomb thing, this crazy epic saga that's just been going with Thor, I mean, we finally get Malekith, who is the bad guy in the new movie, so of course he has to be introduced. Of course you have to understand who he is. Of course they're gonna explain in the comic books because he's like out there. And he was actually pretty badass in the movie, so if you haven't seen it, go see it because he's a pretty awesome bad guy. And in this book, yeah, he doesn't really do that much. He's a crazy dude. And they do a really good job of showing more of like all the different Asgardian worlds and kind of building up that lore a little bit. I really like what they're doing with Thor right now, where he kind of just got muddled in like a lot of crazy back history. Then Straczynski came along a couple years ago and made him like streamlined and like, this is the basics. This is all you need to know about Thor. And this is like perfect jumping on point for everyone. And it got everyone pumped. Then we got awesome movies and cool like reinvigoration of this character. And then Jason Aaron comes back and starts bringing this old Thor-y, like classic Marvel story lore, bringing it with that Straczynski stuff so it's still easy to read and cool, but then just mashing these like awesome cool stories together and making these giant sprawling epics. Like we got like one issue of breathing room between the last big crazy story and then this, and this is still like small, it's still growing. The stakes are high in the story, but it's getting bigger and crazier, and I can't wait to see what happens with it. Particularly Thor's goat, who's been around forever, but like he's just showing up again now, and it's really awesome because his name's Tooth Gnasher, and it's freaking sweet. It's a goat. It has horns that are huge, and it's almost taller than Thor. How is that not awesome? Anyways, I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls because it's my favorite book, so read it.